Okay. Right here, we are looking at inside run blocking tags. Okay. This is another part of what is difficult in our system for the offensive coordinator. If you join our system and you can cross this hurdle, you're going to absolutely love calling plays with the way we call plays, the ways you can change tempo, the ways you can change tags, and not screw up any of your kids. If you're running a perimeter run, in this case, we're running a perimeter run right into the boundary. I've got to know in this set that A, it's a perimeter run and it's to a one receiver side. When I know that, I'm going to ask this kid to block, because if I get a perimeter run give read, then I need one of these. I need the force defender blocked. However, I'm not going to ask him to stalk if it's a one person versus two type of situation. Okay. So what I've got to do as a coach calling these adjustable tags is I've got to call a push crack. All right. I don't want to call a stalk and give that guy a free hit. I don't want to call a speed out because the ball might get run out there, allowing both these kids to make a tackle. What I want to do is on a perimeter run with a single stand up is I want to call the push crack. And so we have a way of signaling push crack to a 1, 2, 3 stand up group. Because he's the one, he does the old school push crack, and you get the corner to safety tag executed there, and certainly gain another 4 or 5 yards in that run. Behind it, you can see we put a man beater, 3-man slant concept, mixing that up and anticipating some sort of man. Again, you can see the tempo. The guys don't even have the chains lined up yet. We have gotten a first down. Our kids are already aligned. You got the defensive linemen getting lined up late. How we teach tempo within the practice and how we get lined up, even when we're not calling it fast. This is not a fast call. This is an ID cadence. The quarterback very quickly saw that the triangle was over here. 2 of the 3 pieces were over here. So what he's going to do is he's going to hand that ball off pre-snap, and we're going to have a numerical advantage to get on that corner. And being 2nd and 4 right there, and again, hopefully moving the chains. Okay, now we're running the same play. We're running a boundary run. Because it's a boundary run and that ball could spit outside, I want to put a blocking scheme on. But now what I want to do is I want to make sure that we don't get 2 guys on 1 guy. I don't want to put an inside run blocking scheme on and cut a guy free, and cut a corner free. This linebacker right here is the responsibility of these 5 linemen. This guy knows that. And so what we've asked these 2 guys to do is to stalk. Same run, same direction into the boundary, but as a play caller, understanding I now have 2 stand-ups, and then it's going to be a 2-on-2 situation into the boundary, I'm going to ask those kids to stalk instead of push crack. Again, a little bit more thinking for me, but what you don't have is you don't have a kid stalking when he's supposed to push crack. You don't have 2 kids blocking the same person and cutting a guy free. And what you end up getting is you end up getting a lot of extra yards in your run game. I mean, look at the H. He's just waiting on that cat. So really easy for us to adjust the perimeter, really easy for the kids. I tell everybody it's like a wristband system without the wristband. Instead of me looking down and seeing, hey, my rule on play number 45 is to stalk. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look to the sideline, and I have my guy with his red wristband who's talking to the perimeter of the right side of the offense. I'm going to tell him to stalk. On the previous one, we're going to go and we're going to tell him to push crack. And again, in our playbook, we've got a 3 and a 2 and a 1. And the 1 on push crack is going to push crack every time. The 2 is going to dig out the nickel spur every time. And the 3 is going to dig out the linebacker every time. Well, if I call push crack with just 1 guy out there, we're going to get the push crack with the X. Right? On stalk, X is going to stalk the corner. 2 is going to stalk the high safety. 3 is going to arc the nickel spur. In this particular case, we didn't have a 3 on a nickel spur, but we got the 2-on-2 high blocks, therefore giving us a convoy out here, allowing us to get the edge. Called this into the perfect stunt. I get that. That's not the purpose of this drill. I do think, again, our tempo wears on people. I don't think they really understand how fast we can and do go at times. But this is not a tempo play. This is an ID play. The triangle was to the field. The quarterback knew to give the football. Okay, here's a great look at, we've used this video in the past, but we're running power into the boundary. And I want to run this football play. I don't want to throw the ball if we've got an extra hat in there. We knew this was a quarters team all the way. This corner was never going to be a defensive threat in the run game. All right. He was not going to defend that D gap just by play call, not because of his talent, but how they aligned in their defense. So we have the ability with our receivers in a 3-2-1 setting to outside run block, to inside run block, to crack no matter what, and to even load. We can even get an X down in there on a linebacker and load him if that's something that's needed in a particular game. And it's all different hand signals with one hand, right? Because the right side's got to do something, then the left side's got to do something. In this case, we wanted to run power into the boundary. Again, I knew we were 11. The H was not going to be part of the perimeter this time. The H was part of the 6-on-6 power blocking. Therefore, I needed to get a push crack on here. But because of this defense, we just gave him a flat crack. We wanted him down there right now. There was no pushing whatsoever because we knew that kid was going to fit the minute we showed run. Yes, I know the answers. We carried a glance post behind it. Yes, we carried a lot of RPO tags also affect that guy. We carried a power pass into the boundary where the H stuttered and we threw the post over the top on a true play action that wasn't even a read and hit it. Scored a lot of points this game. But there are times as a play caller that you need to get your tail back the ball. You can clearly 4-minute offense, whatever it is. But in this case, we purposely wanted the handoff and we wanted the wideout to block that extra hat. Good look at it here from the end zone. I don't know that it would have mattered. This is an A-gap run, and the tailback does a great job. Excuse me, let me get back to it. The tailback does a great job of hitting it in the A-gap. But nevertheless, from a X and O and schematic and answer standpoint, from a play caller's position, if you're running a 6-on-6 scheme here, right? In this case, we're running power. We're going to get a combo back. We're going to block back, pull, and sit on that and sit on that. And we're going to hit the ball with an L step in the front side A gap or the back side A gap. If we're calling that play and no one's blocking this guy, that's a problem. So for us, if we want to do that, we can get an X in there to do it as well with a legit crack call and not a push crack, trying to read the difference between the two. That's a really good look at it. Okay, back to the screen game. Those first few reps were just some examples of how in that earlier PowerPoint, the #1 point of run blocking, we can get some different looks called. All of those were into the boundary. Got a couple different looks on tape. They all apply to the field as well. Here's some screens. We've got a lot of different screens. We mix them up, we dress them up, we call them different things. This is actually a bubble screen that normally goes to #3 in a back pedal, but instead we just kind of lined them up with width and ran him on a now screen and got a little more arc out of this. But in this particular case, we get lined up. We can tag anything we want behind this particular screen because we're in ID cadence. I really like doing this because in that moment, what we can do is if we get the triangle, which is this kid in the middle of the field, and these two human beings down right over this screen where this can be dead, now we can tag something on the back end for a throw. We would have had that hitch wide open if the triangle were to the field. And that's how we read, this is our ID cadence, where we're going to call a specific screen. We're going to call it to a particular side. We're also going to be able to mix in the backside tag. Again, we can adjust it. We call hitch, we call speed out, whatever it is, right? As kids already know with our 1, 2, 3, and it's all in our books and all that stuff. Highly recommend it. But in this case, the quarterback did a great job of seeing that the triangle was a 2-on-1 to the boundary, and that we had basically a 3-on-2 to the field with a middle free. And then in that case, we want to take it. Whenever we teach a perimeter screen, for us, Bulldogs is a bubble, Trojans is a tunnel, Seminoles is a smoke. That's a now. Frogs is a flare. College football teams, again, we wanted certain things to mean certain things. But those 4 tip plays, whether it's a tailback, a slot, an H, or an X, if they're a ball carrier on a perimeter screen, they have a sidewalk that is below the numbers. All right. They have to run the ball below the numbers. If we run a perimeter screen and you're a blocker, you have to block for the sidewalk, which is below the numbers. Okay. See how hard that H is working, and then even coming off for the next player who is below the numbers, gets a little caught there. But these are 4 to 7 yard football plays that may or may not spit. But we coach the perimeter screen with a sidewalk below the numbers, that on any of those 4 screens, if you're a blocker, let's set the sidewalk. If you're a runner, let's get to the sidewalk and get as many as we can. That's been a really good teaching point for us on what we call perimeter screens. Okay.